Hello and welcome to the channel. So the ACT has some pretty big changes coming to the test throughout 2025. This video is going to cover the English section changes. So before we get started, like I just said, this video is only going to cover the changes to the English section. If you do want to see the changes for the entire test, which I would recommend, I have another video for that. That one is called Upcoming ACT Changes in 2025. Notice no section in the title. That's currently posted in my ACT General Study Guides and Information playlist. I'll have a link to the video in our description here. So if you do want to see all the videos, go there, which is what I would recommend. This video and all the section-specific videos, so English, Math, Reading, and Science, for their 2025 changes, are not going to have any new information that's not covered in this video for everything. So if you've already seen that, I don't want to waste your time. You don't need to go and watch any of these section-specific ones. This is purely for those that prefer to break it up into individual videos, or for those that maybe just went straight to, in this case, the English playlist, and didn't see that this other video exists. So now you can go there. Or if you just have seen this and want a reminder, these videos are for you. But now, let's get right into it. Most important thing to keep in mind for any of these changes, none of the content that's being tested is going to change. So everything that you've learned to prepare for the ACT in its current version, before the changes, is still perfectly valid. What will be changing is the presentation. So how are these questions going to be asked in some cases? The timing is going to change pretty much across the board. What we're going to find is it's going to be a shorter test, so you hopefully are a little less exhausted by the end, and you're usually going to have more time per question. So overall, good changes. I am going to, throughout the year, go in and update any of my content or strategy videos that currently exist. For anything that changes drastically from these new changes, I'll probably include both versions, because you're still going to have primarily, right at this point, all of the old practice material. There's probably not a lot of new stuff out there, and that doesn't make all the old stuff bad. You just need to know how things change. Mostly going to be the pacing. You can also go right to the ACT's website. They have an ACT test enhancement page to get all this information straight from the source, to make sure I didn't miss anything, or maybe they'll add some more information after this video. So you can check that out. I'll put a link to that page as well as their other page here that's going to have sample tests or practice tests, sample questions with this new format. So at the moment, this is our best source to see these new versions. And a lot of the information I'm going to give you, I'll point out, is either just what I can glean from the practice test versus what they directly told me. It's mostly just going to be anything with how many passages or how many questions per passage. That's the stuff that they haven't officially announced. I'll just tell you what was in the practice test. So, who has to worry about this? When are these changes going to happen? So, for the national computer-based testing only, this is the earliest in April of this year, 2025. Now, everything on the ACT website says national, so for my international students, I assume this also applies to you if it is computer-based, but it might be worth doing a little bit more research to confirm. But the good news is one of those big changes is that the science section is going to be optional. So if you go to register and you're given the choice to take the science section or not, you're going to have the new version. For the rest of you taking the paper-based version on Saturdays, so this is still different from the one that is given in public schools in the spring, that time is going to be September of this year. And for those that are taking the ACT that your public school generally provides in February or sometime in the spring, that's going to be spring of next year, 2026. So now to the meat. What are the changes for the English section? It's not too much. It'll all be on one slide here. So let's start with the timing. We used to have 45 minutes for 75 questions. What we will have is 35 minutes, so 10 fewer minutes, to do 50 questions, so 25 fewer questions. So more time per question, and overall it is shorter. So they did not tell us the exact number of passages, but the practice test that they gave has 6 much shorter passages. So timing-wise, backing up, how was that broken down? 4 of those passages had 10 questions, 2 of them had 5. So I don't know if it's always going to be in this layout, or if maybe they'll have some versions with 5 passages of 10 questions each. So pacing-wise, what this comes out to is 0.7 minutes per question, technically. That's not very useful. You're not going to try and do anything with 0.7. But I don't want to give a time per passage because, as you can see, there's different size passages potentially. So the better thing I would recommend you do, aim for about 30 seconds per question, or better, go count how many questions are in the passage, divide that by 2, and aim for that many minutes for that passage. So for these passages like this that had 10 questions, try and get that done in 5 minutes. For those with 5 questions, try and do it in about 2.5. If you do that, you're going to have a little bit of time left over, and you'll be good to go. Now, the big change in the presentation, how are they asking these questions, is every single question now is going to look like the current objective-based, which is where instead of just immediately having answer choices and not asking anything, and you just have to know I'm replacing what's already in there, every question is going to say which of the following or which choice something, and then it's going to tell you what they want your answer to do. So it's going to be very helpful because you're going to know what they're actually testing with every question type. So what about just the generic punctuation or grammar rule things? For those, you're going to see something along the lines of which choice makes the sentence most grammatically acceptable. If you see that, just use your punctuation and grammar rules. For everything else, you're going to treat them like the current objective question type, which I have covered in the ACT English Concepts 1 video. And what I say there, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to click ahead there, was to prioritize the exact objective of the question. So whatever follows this, which of the following, something, whatever they want your answer to do, that's what you care about. Make sure your answer does that. It might be something that was one of the other concepts, like conciseness. It might say which of the following provides the most clear and concise answer. In that case, you'll treat it like you would the conciseness type questions. It might say which of the best, or which of the following best matches the verb tense of the rest of the passage, or the surrounding sentences. In that case, you're testing verb tense. So do what it says, or you might have something like the current objective questions, which aren't really a grammar rule at all, but something like what I'll have in the concepts example, like which of the following gives the best indication of a pattern. That's not really a rule or anything, but just look for something that has a pattern. So in general, read the question, whatever they want the objective or want your answer to do, make sure it does that. The final change is just that the composite score that you're going to get for the ACT is now only going to include English, math, and reading. Like I said, science is going to be optional, so to do that, they are making the science score totally separate. So you just average these 3 to get your new composite score. And that's going to be it for the English section changes. Good luck, and I'll see you on the next one.